Okay, so let's just like to acknowledge that we're having the November 19th, 2021 meeting of the Rotterdam Town Board, special meeting to conduct a few orders of business important to the town. And Ms. Marco just took the roll. All of us are present here, as you can see. At this point, we're going to have public comment privilege of the floor for anyone who would like to speak. If you don't mind, and I don't know how we're going to control that right now. But if you want to raise your hand, I think there's a way for you to raise your hand in here, right? Yeah. So if you go to reactions and you want to raise your hand if you'd like to speak under public comment privilege of the floor. You have 4 minutes to speak, and I'd ask you to state your name and address for the record, please. Anyone?
I did ask all telephone participants to unmute themselves.
Okay. Anyone like to?
Yes. This is Calvin Rugg, 1107 Sunrise Boulevard.
Yes,
I don't see the agenda online, so I don't know what I can comment on. So I'm here to see what this meeting is about, though.
Okay. Let's. I don't know who's Dana. Would you please make sure that it shows that it's posted? And what I'll do is I will read the resolutions. Ms. Marco will read the resolutions so that she'll know. And what I'll do is, I guess, see what the board comments are. But I can tell you, let me just do that. Let me just read the resolutions to you so you have some concept here, if you will. Forgive me for saying it that way, but of what we're doing here. And where did it go? Okay, sorry about that. This is closed. That's why I'm not seeing it. Okay. So the first resolution is a resolution authorizing the issuance of a bond for improvements to the wastewater treatment plant. So we are moving to, if you will, and I'll have the other board members will make comments during their voting, perhaps. But we're moving to hopefully take advantage of not just the state funds that are available for improvements to our wastewater treatment plant, but also federal money that we believe is available now and more later. So major improvements to the plant, and that will afford us an opportunity to get to 25A in a much bigger way than we are now, and for the western part of our community to help us with not just commercial and industrial development, but residential development as well. So that's what that resolution in total, in my opinion, is about. The next resolution is to call for a meeting for Wednesday, December 1 at 5:30 for the board. And then a public hearing to consider a local law pursuant to general municipal law. And I'm sorry, section, is it 3C? I think is what that says. It's kind of faint on my screen. I'm sorry about that. So those are the resolutions, Mr. Rugg, and I'm hopeful that that you'll see that soon on the website.
If you'd like, I can download the entire agenda with the backup and email it to Mr. Rudd if he doesn't have it.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, we could we could share it in the screen too, but I think that it's probably maybe it's better if you do email it directly to him.
So let me do this.
No, I don't need. I took notes. It's okay. I appreciate you explaining it to me.
Sure. Okay. All right. Appreciate that. I know that we've been having some difficulties today. I just not to belabor, but I've had difficulties with my work, virtual meetings today. So I don't know if it's just slow internet or what the issue is, but it's not a large agenda, so it shouldn't take long to upload. So I don't know what the issue is. Anyone else from the public that would like to be heard? You don't mind unmuting yourself or raising your hand if you have the ability to do that through the Zoom feature.
Can you hear me, Mr. Supervisor?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm also looking for the agenda myself. For the last 15 minutes, it's not on the website either. I heard the first resolution, but could you be a little more specific on that December 1st? And I always get leery when we refer to a section of town law, but don't describe what it's for. What is the purpose of that resolution?
Sure, I'll have the, when we vote on that, I'll have, I know that council members are going to speak on it. So if it's okay, we can hold it to them.
But like I said, there's nothing on the town website, so I don't know whether you have any attachments to those resolutions, but I really have nothing to use as a reference point. So just so you know that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that can unmute themselves? Okay, let's move into the meeting. Let me just go back to the.
Steve, you're going to have to read them because I have nothing.
Yeah, no worries. That's
Thank you.
absolutely fine. Sure. Curious, but okay. Let's move into the first resolution is a resolution authorizing the issuance of a bond for improvements at the wastewater treatment plant. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
A motion by Mr. Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Miller Herrera. Anyone in the question? Any of the board members have any comments they'd like to make before we vote on that resolution?
I believe
Mr.
this
Supervisor.
is,
Go
Go ahead.
on, go on.
it's my understanding that this is a step that we need to take in order to make possible grant funding available. I know that there had been some discussion at previous meetings about it, so I'm glad that we were able to schedule this meeting and get it done before the deadline for the grant application process.
And that's one of the things with these processes, and so the public knows, sometimes these opportunities come to us in a shortened period of time. And so we have to act more quickly than maybe we would otherwise. By passing this resolution, it doesn't mean that we will necessarily pursue, or I should say the town will pursue it without grant funding. That's something that they'll have to determine later on, but we do have an opportunity here to really make a major change for the town that will be, frankly, I think would be lauded in decades to come, that we made this move. Mr. Christou, do you have something you want to say, or?
No, I just need to reiterate what my colleague said, that again, this administrative piece here allows us to get in line for the grant funding. And I think that's very important. Those of us who, those of you who know me, I have advocated for infrastructure from day one being elected to this position. My first tour of the sewer treatment plant in late 2015, I think it was, revealed that very little had been spent by previous administrations, and unfortunately, instead of spending a little bit every year, there was many years that nothing was spent, and now we're in a position where we want to avoid any kind of catastrophic disaster and keep that wastewater treatment plant up to date. So I'm also happy to see that we are taking this first step in order to qualify for state and federal grant funding.
And Mr. Christou, I hope you continue to advocate for infrastructure after January 1st.
That is a promise, Mr. Signori. That is an
Thank you.
absolute.
Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor.
Go ahead, Mr. Goodall.
Mr. Tonko, we already secured funds from them towards this project as well, correct?
Approximately $1 million has been allocated through the federal government appropriation. I do believe, I think as we've discussed and we discussed even at the plant, you were there, and I believe Ms. Miller Herrera also may have been there at one point, that these are all steps that are needed. And the biggest piece of receiving funding from state or federal sources is simply that the community has to want it, right? And we have to also see a need from the perspective of business, people, again, who want to build homes and other residential opportunities for people within our county. And the bigger piece here, I think, is just having those sewer lines ready to go for, I believe, in the next few years, we're going to see a tremendous amount of activity in our town for companies that want to come here, because we have people that are not just employable, but skilled, and throughout the capital district. And Rotterdam is a location that people want to live in, regardless of what people might say on social media. In my opinion, the few that don't like to live here. We do live in America, so you are free to move where you like. So I know that may sound a little rough, but that's how I feel about it. I do believe that we have a great opportunity to ensure that with technology changes, with other opportunities, again, that employers will bring to our community, to our county, to upstate New York. I think you're going to see some really exciting and dramatic things happening over the next few years. And, you know, one way or another, we've been a part of it, and the public obviously will be a part of it. And everything that happens will be, you know, in the agendas and so on, and more to come. I don't know if, you know, there have been some conversations around different companies, but I think what you have to really assess is not necessarily what companies may come here, but more importantly, what they bring to the table, and so far as, again, jobs, tax base, and opportunities for the future, particularly for our children. So with that, go ahead. Anyone else on the board have a comment? Mark, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Mr. Christo,
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera,
Yes.
Mr. Signor,
Yes.
and Mr. Thomasone.
Yes.
5 yes.
Very good. Let me just go back to the agenda again. I'm sorry, it takes me a minute to get there. Okay, thank you. Resolution passes. Next resolution, a resolution adding a town board meeting on Wednesday, December 1, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
A motion by Mr. Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Signor. Anyone on the question? Ms. Marco, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Christo,
Yes.
Mr. Gitterelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera,
Yes.
Mr. Signor,
Yes.
and Mr. Thomasone.
Yes.
5 yes. Steve, there's still a December 8th meeting, correct?
It's still on the calendar.
I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
A resolution passes. Next resolution, a resolution calling for a public hearing to consider a proposed local law pursuant to general municipal law, section 3-C. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Christou. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Signor. Anyone in the question? So on the question, I'm looking for, so that section of the chapter 255 -15. I have this right, Article 7. Tax levy, and so in accordance with provisions of General Municipal Law, Section 3C, the town board, this is a resolution to have the town board consider overriding the tax levy limit established for the 2022 annual budget of the town. That's what that is for. Any discussion on the resolution?
Mr. Supervisor, again, we've discussed, this possibility throughout various various board meetings. Clearly, there is, as I mentioned, the last board meeting, our retirement obligations alone increased by $1 million over this past year. Over the past several years, the town has used considerable fund balance as a revenue stream in order to decrease the taxes paid by residents. Subsequently to this, the town has overspent in the amount of funds budgeted for the last several years. For example, in 2019, the town used over $2 million of fund balance as a revenue stream and then overspent the budget by either another $1 million. In 2020, $2.5 million of unrestricted fund balance were also used as revenue, and the town overspent the budget by an additional $2 million. Of course, we could attribute a lot of this to COVID and the lack of income that came in. 21-20 budget, again, $2 million of unrestricted balance. This resulted in using a considerable amount. This year, the town has decided to use an expenditure-based budgeting process to determine our actual budget needs. For each department, we look not only at what the department had requested, but what that department had actually spent over the past 5 years in each line and assigned to them. The requests were balanced against their needs, as evidenced by past expenditures. The budget that we have developed using this process is designed to be transparent to the public and to show precisely where we are putting our funds as a town. It is also the minimum amount possible required to continue to provide the services that the residents of our town expect. We do not have enough fund balance to continue using that money as a revenue stream, nor do I think myself or my colleagues think that would be prudent spending. This budget addresses the actual needs in the most conservative manner that we are able. We want to set up the town for future fiscal success. The only way that we can do that at this point is to do some sort of a reset, which would involve breaking the tax cap. If we do not support our budget realistically, we'll be kicking the can down the road and the town will have to defund services. We do not want to be the board that causes our police department, our highway department, and other departments to be defunded, restricted, and would lead to layoffs and other unfortunate issues. We know our residents value the services that the town provides: water, sewer, roadways, and our police force. Which are all items that are expensive. However, they are worth the cost. We do not want to defund our police force going forward simply because we did not adequately plan to support them. Our board has set in motion a number of plans to put the town in a better fiscal position in future years. We have already done one round of debt refinancing, and we have planned for a second one in June. The first round saved us over $500,000. We anticipate similar savings within the second round. We are looking at consolidating our water and sewer districts. This is another opportunity to save money. Additionally, our workforce. Excuse me, I do have the floor, Mr. Godlewski. We are looking at consolidating our water and sewer districts. This is another opportunity to save money, as I said. Additionally, we're looking at combining our workforce into one space at Viewport rather than continually maintaining the 2 elderly buildings we are currently located in. All of these steps will save the town money in the future. Unfortunately, these things do take time. So, this public hearing allows us to, once again, receive input from the public and take the next step in order to set our town up for, for success in the oncoming years. As a business owner and as a resident, clearly, this is a hard pill to swallow, but we have to look at our future.
And along the lines of what you're talking about, one of the, I think, important distinctions to make when we talk about allocating the monies from those past years, we've allocated, and so when it comes to, I don't want to call it spending, but we've allocated funds for the sidewalks in Rotterdam Junction. We've allocated funds over the last several years for projects in the town that have not come yet to fruition. For example, the sewer treatment plant upgrades. There are a lot of projects out there that we have where we have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in engineering and other costs, if you will, in order to get those projects disclosed and upfront. And with those projects, we've also dedicated fund balance or monies to those projects. And that's part of those commitments that you talked about there. So looking forward for the town, I think that there's a little bit more work that can be done. And I've shared some of my, I guess I want to say more strategic changes that should be made to the administrative end of our government. And unfortunately, I don't think that we're going to see those happen unless the new board come January and moving forward has the appetite for them. I think that there are definitely some ways that we can not only, we'll call it shrink our flow chart of administrative needs, but I also believe that we can save money and use, in particular, our labor pool much more effectively. And when it comes to the other piece of this, which is we have the collective bargaining contracts that are due. I think that there'll be a lot of work that'll have to be done there with the new board to ensure that everyone understands not just the costs involved, but where it is that we can do both things together. In other words, save money in our budget, and at the same time not impact positions that we sorely need, and frankly do away with through technology or other means of job sharing and so on, the opportunity to curtail the need to keep hiring people for some departments that frankly they don't need them. And I'll just say it like that. So if we have a motion by Mr. Christian, a second by Mr. Signor, anyone else on the board? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo,
Yes, for the public hearing.
Mr. Gettarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera,
Yes.
Mr. Signor,
Yes, also for the public hearing.
and Mr. Thomasone.
Yes.
5 yes.
Resolution passes. Anyone have anything under committee reports or
Steve, who made the motion first? Evan, and who seconded it?
Mr. Signor?
Thank you so much.
Anyone else have anything under committee reports or? Well, I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you and your families have a good time this year. And if for some reason you think you have too many pies at your home, you can always call me. I'll be happy to stop over and pick it up from you and eat it myself. I'll be blunt, so. Steve, I know you want to say something, so go ahead.
Well, no, I'll take the leftovers because, as a
You're not going to play the
bachelor,
sequel.
I very rarely cook for
Okay.
myself.
Yeah,
I usually
right.
I usually go to Evans for his broccoli soup. So yeah, any leftovers, you can give them to me.
Thanksgiving, anybody doesn't have an invite, they're more than welcome to come break bread with me.
All right. I'll make the leftovers last a week.
Yeah.
So
Mr. Super-
Steve,
Motion to-
just a question. Do you know, like, when people call, is it the draft preliminary budget? Is that the one that I give to them, or what do I do? That's the only one I have last.
I'm going to defer to Ms. Greenwood to answer your questions on that.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. So anyone have anything else that they'd like to bring up today? No? Okay, please.
I just want to join in your
for adjournment.
in wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving, Mr. Supervisor. I forgot to add to that. So
Thank
again,
you.
safe and happy holidays, everyone.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to y'all.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Does
everyone.
anyone make a motion to adjourn?
What?
No.
Mr. Christian made the motion. Mr.
I'll make it.
Schiarelli seconded it? Yes?
Sure.
Okay, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you all for being here today, and again, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.